Hi, I'm Hannah Garrity. I am this year doing an ISM secondary education as it relates to U.S. history. Why is my thing not starting, Coach Gav? What is? Oh, okay. Oh, awkward. We should have thought about this beforehand. Does this count in my time? Right. Alrighty. Hannah Garrity, ISM, awesome. So about me, I strive to be the best daughter, sister, Christ follower, and leader I can be. Traits I would consider myself are trustworthy, bold, honest, and headstrong. My activities include being devoted to my family, church, sports, and music. What's most important to me, activity-wise, is leadership in my church youth group, whether that be teaching the middle school girls that I get the joy of teaching every week, or the little GAs that are elementary school kids. They're really cute. I enjoy doing that, and I also like going to just the church events and being able to be a leader as being a senior and showing up to just random high school stuff. Other interests include hanging out with my family, watching and going to sporting events. My little brother plays baseball, and fun fact, I used to play softball, so my parents played college sports. We all really enjoy watching that. And we like anything. We don't discriminate against sports, unless soccer. We don't like soccer. Also, I've played piano for 11 years and harp for 6. That's something that's like a stress reliever to me. I enjoy doing that. That's just something that I think I'm good at and I enjoy. My quote is, "I am not what has happened to me, I am what I choose to become," by Carl Jung. I like that because it pretty much says you're in control of your own destiny. Your past doesn't define you. You can pretty much pick up and start over tomorrow. That's a picture of my family and I, because like I said, we're adorable. My topic is secondary education as it relates to U.S. history. I chose this because I have a passion and a love for teaching and history. My passion started with my dad and how we get to just experience history together. And it's a lot of fun to watch History Channel or read books together. And one of my first memories is I was maybe 5, maybe 6. I guess first memories with my dad. And I came downstairs, I was having a nightmare, and he was watching a beheading of Charles one of the Charles. And I didn't really get fazed by watching some guy's head get chopped off. And my dad thought that I was a pretty cool child for that. So brownie points for me. And then the experiences I've had for teaching, like I said, with middle school girls. And then I also work at Alphabet, which is an after-school daycare program, and I get the joy of being with little kindergartners, 24 of them, which is the equivalent to like 300 high school students. So I learned patience there, and it's just a lot of fun with them. Next, my research started with my career outlook assessment, and that was depressing because you don't have a lot of jobs as a high school history teacher. The coaches get that, and being a girl, again, not a coach, not a football coach, so sad. After that, I got 7 interviews within 4 days, which was stressful coming into ISM doing that first. But I got that done with, so I got to do those assessments right away. And then I got to try and figure out what things stood for, because that was one of the things I came back with after going to these interviews. I was really confused with some of the terminology they used. And it was interesting to research that and just kind of learn more, not necessarily for any grade or anything like that, just learning more. After that, I learned about the actual interviews themselves, which some of the things that I got from that was being a teacher is more about the classroom. Teaching, as Miss Webb told me, is like 25% in the classroom, and a whole bunch more just outside of it, whether it be lesson plans or meetings or department head meetings or paperwork, there's just something that needs to be done that's not teaching students, which for me, that's what I'm here for. I'm not here to do paperwork, but got to put up with it. So you also have to put in a lot of extra hours after school and on the weekends. That's something that you have to think about also. And you also need to learn to be able to put your work down instead of trying to trudge through it. You need to be able to take a break. And as Mr. Irish told me, he has a lot of masters from SMU, and he says that it's important to continue learning about your topic yourself. It's important to learn about not only the topic that you teach currently, but other topics and things that you could potentially teach. So that's important. What I learned from the assessments, I learned about 504 students, which are students that have disabilities. And I didn't mention this before, but it's also temporary disabilities by Josh. And so like if a student broke their arm and they couldn't write, then that's a temporary disability. Or as Coach Goff mentioned before, if they're diabetic, they need to have food or they have to go to the bathroom, you have to let them. There are certain rules that they get to surpass. And then these also include students that have learning disabilities such as ADD, ADHD, things like that. And you have to accommodate for them. At the beginning of the year, you get all of their paperwork, so you have to know which students are 504 students and which students aren't. And then you have to show the committee that you are accommodating for them. I also learned why teachers are mainly women. I did an assessment over the history of teaching. It started in the, I want to say like 1870s and went up until the early 2000s. And in that assessment, I learned about men were the primary educators back in the day. And then they had to sort of get out of the classroom. They were more of the principals, the administration kind of stuff. And then they kind of left the dirty work to the women, which was actually teaching the kids. And surprisingly enough, haha to them, they liked it. The women liked it. So we women have kind of just taken care of that role. And that's something that's still prevalent today. There are a lot of female teachers, and unless they're a coach, there aren't a lot of male teachers. And then I also learned about the different kinds of teaching styles. For that, I learned about how there's the authoritative, the democratic, the just like cooperative learning kind of style. And in a classroom, it's great to have all of it. So you have notes, which is lectures, you have hands-on, you have group activities, you have computer, you have technology, you have fun stuff like that that gets the students engaged, and you're not doing the same thing over and over and over. Students tend to get bored. Then I have some pictures just of a teacher. That'll be me when I grow up. And then the Constitution and a map of the United States. Awesome. So I have a mentor. Her name is Emily Snyder. She was my 8th grade literature teacher at Pioneer. And I interviewed 7 people. As I said earlier, I interviewed people at Frisco, Miss Webb and Miss England, Mr. Irish in South Lake Carroll, people from Wakeland, Centennial, and then Miss Snyder. And Miss Snyder and I just clicked the best. She loves Abraham Lincoln. I love Abraham Lincoln. So it kind of just worked out. And I really liked the teachers here, but I wanted to be off campus. I wanted something that I hadn't got before. So she was definitely the best fit. Then for my first mentor visit, I got to get there a little bit early. There was some open communication with how we discussed what my original work was going to be. We sort of talked about final product, not all that much, but then what I was supposed to wear, if I could take notes on my laptop, fun things like that. And then just what our weekly meetings will look like, whether I will be in department meetings with her, or if I will sit in on classes, or if I'll be there during her off periods and we'll just talk, just what happened there. My first one was in a department meeting. It was for regular U.S. history, and I got to meet their department head of independence, which is the, he was over everything, like human, U.S., geo, everything. And the regular teachers in there was like a coach and then 3 teachers, including Miss Snyder. One taught AP and the other one was strictly regular. So it was interesting to see what they had to say and what they cared about, and that was just interesting. And to see all the work that goes into being a teacher that you, as a student, wouldn't see on a day-to-day basis. Then for my original work, I would love to do unit lesson plans. I personally would like to take the hardest unit in the curriculum now and try and write a lesson plan for that. I believe it's Cold War, World War II, and then the progressive unit. Don't quote me on that. But I think those are the hardest, and I think it would be most interesting to try and get a student interested in things that maybe aren't necessarily the most interesting part of history. So then I would like to do, as my final product, teaching a class, and I would like it to be before AP review, so that way they're actually listening to what I have to say instead of just like dozing off, because that would be boring. So that's really what I would love to do. Thank you for listening to me, and I'm all done.
Or that silver button? Silver one?